This is Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about. Real, honest, entertaining, live. DBL starts right now.
Welcome to DBL. It is Friday, May 22nd. I'm Sam here with Jeff and Tori. I know, it's weird.
It is
to
weird.
be in the flesh with you. I mean, we've been talking throughout my maternity leave, the pandemic, but it's so good to actually see your face and be sitting next to you.
Yeah, this is the first time I've seen you. It feels weird.
Since February.
I know, and I haven't been in a studio in 2 weeks, so welcome back, everybody.
It feels good. It feels really good. We love being here. We love our viewers. Of course, Tori is the day off. We miss you, Tori, but it is a well-deserved day off, so enjoy. Lindsay joins us from home. Hey, Lindsay, how are you?
Hi, Sam. Jeff, I haven't seen you in forever. Sam, welcome back from maternity leave. I haven't seen you since then.
I know. And
how are you guys doing?
We're doing good. I miss your face. I've been following all of you from home. And Lindsay, let me tell you, your words on the Ahmaud Arbery case have been absolutely on point. And dare I say, inspirational. Everything that you did with the run with Ahmaud, I just want to applaud you, and I want to get your take on some new information, okay? So we do begin with another big arrest in the case of Ahmaud Arbery, a black man who was shot and killed in February while he was out for a jog. Now, the man who took this video that shows Arbery being chased down and shot multiple times was finally arrested yesterday. William Bryan Jr., who goes by Roddy, is being charged with felony murder and false imprisonment. Two other men, Gregory and Travis McMichael, have also been charged with Arbery's murder. We've been covering that. You heard those details from us earlier. Now, this morning, the Georgia Bureau of Investigation held a press conference and explained the murder charge against Roddy. Take a look.
If you are committing a felony crime and that crime ends up in the death of another human being, then that's a felony murder. And so, as the warrants indicated, he's charged with an underlying felony. He's also charged with felony murder. So we believe the evidence would indicate that his underlying felony helped cause the death of Ahmaud Arbery.
Wow. Amen. I want to see justice for Ahmaud. Lindsay, you have had your finger on the pulse on this case from day one. What do you make of this new information?
You know what? As soon as William Roddy Bryan realized that he was facing jail time, he went on this PR tirade and tried to garner sympathy from all of us and really instead insulted our intelligence. Him and his lawyer went on several news channels and said that he didn't know the McMichaels. They said that he was following a random car and happened to take a video, although the McMichaels police report called him Roddy. Who calls somebody by their nickname that they don't know? So it's really frustrating to me that he wants sympathy from all of us and really wants us to feel like he has no part in this and that his video was helpful in this case. Yes, it was helpful, but you did nothing to turn that over to the police. For 3 months, he sat on that video, didn't turn it to anybody, and it wasn't up to him to give it over. The lawyer of the McMichaels actually passed it over because he thought it would be helpful. And it was helpful to people that want justice for Ahmaud. So really, Ahmaud Arbery would be alive if it wasn't for Gregory McMichael, Travis McMichael, and William Roddy Bryan. And just like they took his life away, we want to see their lives sitting in prison. Anybody who understands that we need to fight for justice because they won't just give it to us like normal human beings.
I agree. And justice is going to have to run deep on this one, Jeff, because the police department there, the Glynn County Police Department, has a very tangled and corruptive history. That's according to NPR. Do you think that everybody involved in this case, Jeff, will finally see themselves behind bars?
Yes, and I think justice is slowly being served in an awkward way. That video was meant, Roddy's trying to save his own butt.
Yeah.
I mean, let's just put it in black and white what it is, and not to make it a racial issue, but that's exactly what it is, a racial issue, Sam. And I think justice is now being served because of that outrage, because of people like you, Lindsay, out there now we're seeing it. I don't think we would have saw this, Sam, had we not got the outrage and people like Lindsay to do this, but I think now we are seeing justice served.
I agree, and I'm so happy, Lindsay, and I use that word carefully, but I'm just relieved to see that social media can do some real great social justice work, and I think it just highlights, too, again, white privilege. And I want everybody out there, if you benefit from the privilege of your skin color, to own it, to know that, because if you can acknowledge that, you can be part of the problem that we will not discriminate against others based on the color of their skin. Well, the
And
president.
I want to really thank
yes,
you and
please.
Jeff. I want to thank you and Jeff for joining. And I know Jeff has been on the air and said this is racist. I'm just going to call it out what it is. And you ran with us and have been very supportive and always support some things that Shaun King has been doing. And it means a lot because I really had to call a lot of people that I know and say, hey, listen, your silence is not okay, especially in this moment. A lot of people are hurting out here, and we really need you to have our backs in the same way that we have yours.
Well said, Lindsay. It's I would say it's our civic duty, really, just as a human being.
And just as friends, as people.
Yeah, exactly. I know. Well, the president was in Michigan yesterday. He toured a Ford plant that was repurposed to manufacture ventilators and other protective gear. President Trump did not wear a mask for the media part of the tour, even though the plant requires them for everyone. But he did explain his decision. Listen.
I wore one in this back area, but I didn't want to give the press the pleasure of seeing it. I think I look better in the mask. I really did. I look better in the mask, but I'm making a speech, so I won't have it now.
Nonetheless, President Trump was photographed wearing it. The mask even had the presidential seal on it. The president also ruled out another lockdown if the country is hit by a second wave of coronavirus infections. Watch.
People say that's a very distinct possibility. It's standard, and we're going to put out the fires. We're not going to close the country. We're going to put out the fires. There could be, whether it's an ember or a flame, we're going to put it out. But we're not closing our country.
Okay, so Jeff, is it realistic to say that we can put out the fire if you don't close down the country, or does he have a point here?
Listen, I'm going to get some pushback from this, but he does have a point, okay, Sam? And I hate agreeing with the president, especially when he, I don't even know where we're at anymore. You know what I mean? I feel like we're watching a movie 20 years in the future and like, who's this guy? Who's this character? And what is going on in America right now? But we cannot completely shut down. We do have to find ways of getting back to this new normal, whatever that may be. We've gone through this first wave. I know if we don't educate ourselves, we're going to repeat ourselves like the Spanish flu in 1918. But we do have to find a way. A lot of people are asymptomatic. I think we need to get more testing done. I think we need to dial in on what specifically this virus attacks. I think we do know some things. Obesity, smoking, those are some of the top ones. This is a longer conversation. We're going to talk to Dr. Coley, I believe, later on. But we do need to start getting back, especially for small businesses. Some people are sitting at home thinking they're going back to a job that doesn't exist anymore.
No, I actually do see both sides to this. I really do. It's a tough one, and I hope that we can all come together and find a solution. Okay, Lindsay, it's Memorial Day weekend, and last year was one of the busiest years ever for Memorial Day travel, with 43 million people flying and hitting the roads. But this year looks to be the complete opposite. One poll suggests up to 95% of Americans said they are not traveling due to the coronavirus. In fact, AAA isn't even releasing a travel forecast this year. This as gas prices have hit their lowest levels in nearly 2 decades. The average price of gas, believe it or not, is just about $1.90 a gallon. So DBL Nation, we want to know what you're doing this holiday weekend. Are you staying home? You traveling? Go to dblvote.com to weigh in. What do you feel comfortable with, Lindsay?
I think the most I feel comfortable with now is just driving somewhere. And even if I do that, it has to be like an Airbnb with just Colin and myself, because I don't even feel comfortable. I mean, I miss my family so much. I want to go to New York, I was telling them. And even if I go back and forth about it, I just can't right now, just because I don't want to put anybody else at risk by being on those planes. And I've been seeing pictures of people on the planes. They have like full plastic over their face or like gloves on, just a lot. So I think I'm just going to stay put unless it's an emergency.
I feel you. What about you, Jeff?
Well, contrary to my point I just made about the president, I'll be staying home. I won't be traveling. Listen, I understand the economy's got to open back up, but I'm not going to be one of the, I was going to say test dummies, mice, whatever analogy you want to throw in there. That's not going to be me. I'm going to sit it out, luckily, and wait it out with my family and see what the results are.
I know,
Sorry.
Me too. I'm just not ready to go back
I'm
yet.
not ready.
No.
I'm not ready.
And I think your point was just protecting small business.
Right.
That
and I mean,
was your point.
Order out. We make it a point to specifically order out once a week, trying to do my thing, but nobody knows the answer. Right now.
I know. I think we're all in this together, aren't we? So chime in, DBL Nation. We want to hear from you, and it looks like 80% of you will be staying at home. Wow, that says a lot. Later, we'll have tips on staying safe if you are traveling. Lindsay, we will see you next week on DBL. Bye, girl. Have a good weekend. And you and your family's safety are top of mind for Dr. Payal Kohli. She'll be back to answer your coronavirus questions. Plus, all week, we've been showing you glimmers of hope from around the globe. Later, we're taking you to Brazil.
Everyone has stuff they don't use.
Welcome back to DBL. We are all about facts, not fear, and providing information to keep you and your loved ones safe. Dr. Pyle Coley joins us. Happy Friday, Dr. Coley.
Happy Friday, Sam. Hi, Jeff.
How's it going, Doctor? We got a lot of questions for you, maybe some personal ones from me if we have time.
Yes, yes, yes. So before we get to viewer questions, the president says he's not shutting the country down if we have a second wave. We talked about this earlier on the show, but we want to hear your expert opinion. What do you make of this?
So, Sam, it's quite simple, actually, if you think about it. The virus spreads through people. So if you separate the people, the risk of transmission is lower, the number of cases is lower. You bring them together, the number of cases are going to go up. So whether you want to call this a second wave or a spike or whatever have you, the number of cases will go up. And how high it goes really depends on how much the people get together. Now, I understand the president's concerns because there's the economic health of our country that we have to think about. But in my opinion, we can have our cake and eat it too. We can do this in a safe fashion if we have that testing and tracing in place. There's actually a new study that also came out last week that proposed a very unique model for opening up the country, which is having 50 days of lockdown alternating with 30 days of easing of restrictions and doing that over and over and over again to really kind of keep that number at bay.
Wow.
Doctor, quickly before we get to this question, do you believe we should slowly start opening up the country if we can?
I think we should, Jeff, but I think we have to have that testing and tracing in place. We have a false choice here. It's not a choice between our physical health and our economic health. There is a way to have both, and that's to have the testing and tracing so that we have a finger on the pulse of the virus. And when those cases start to go up again, we can dial it back down, but we have to know that they're going up with the testing in place.
Wow. I nominate Dr. Coley to help advise the president on reopening the country.
I nominate a lot of people to
Thank
help
you,
out.
Sam.
All right, let's get to some viewer questions. Dr. Coley, Robert wants to know, could he catch the virus by sharing eyewear, just something simple like sunglasses?
Interesting.
Very interesting question. So just this week, the CDC actually updated their messaging saying that the risk of transmission through surfaces is a lot lower than we thought. That's not thought to be the primary mechanism of spread. But having said that, the American Academy of Ophthalmology actually says there have been reports of viral transmission through the eyes and also through the tears. So I would not recommend sharing sunglasses. And the other thing I might add is just be careful when you put your sunglasses down on the surface because you don't want to contaminate them that way either.
Right. Now, our final question comes from Carrie. She asks, is it safe for my family to plan a camping trip at the end of June?
Carrie, it's actually one of the safer things you can do at a time like this because we know the risk of transmission outdoors is a lot lower. But I have a few tips. Camp close to your house, fill up your car with gas, food, and supplies so you don't have to stop along the way. Try to go to an isolated area and take some water with you to wash your hands because that hand sanitizer doesn't work if your hands are dirty, visibly soiled or dirty. So if you do those things, I think you can camp safely.
Nice. I want to go camping. Well, quickly, before we go, it's time for Dr. Coley's silver lining. Yes, yes, yes. Today's a little different. You want to talk about the Oscars. Interesting, Dr. Coley. All right, have it.
I do, Sam. You're going to love this because it's about girl power. So in the last 92 years of the Oscars, only 5 women have been nominated for Best Director. And they think that that's all going to change now as a result of the pandemic. So a lot fewer movies have been coming out. And so the female directors are really emerging of the movies that have come out this year. And so they're thinking next year they'll have a lot of nominees for Best Director that are women. And it's just going to change a trend of 92 years. So I'm really excited to see what happens.
Wow.
Dr. Coley.
That is a silver lining and something that you wouldn't even see how it influences pop culture.
Exactly.
So yeah, I'm all about that. Way to go, Dr. Coley.
Like
Thank
she's
you
making
for
a
that girl
transition
power
into
today.
entertainment as well as being a doctor.
Yeah, join us on the Access Show. Talk all about entertainment and pop culture. Thank you, Dr. Coley. We will see you next week, and I hope that you have a great weekend.
Thank you, guys.
Well, if you have a question about coronavirus you want answered by Dr. Coley, write us on social media. You can also email info@dailyblastlive.com. No panic, just prevention and precautions. We will be right back.
Did you know you can My name is Pagirandu, making this video from the Gambia.
My name is Kirsten and I'm a British expat currently living in Dubai.
Hello from Liverpool, England.
In terms of the UAE, we've been very lucky in that the government were quick to respond to the corona outbreak. Borders were closed and we were put into lockdown very quickly. We were in 24-hour lockdown for 3 weeks. We were only allowed to move if we had a police permit, which we then had to apply for online. We are allowed to move between the hours of 6 a.m. and 10 p.m. We're very grateful. As much as it's been difficult to have these restrictions in place, I do feel like I feel safe. For me personally, I know my friends appreciate it as well. The one thing that is giving me hope is knowing that at the end of all of this, I will be able to see my family again in the UK and be able to resume travel. We're all in this together, so from me, be safe guys, and I hope that you are all okay.
Wow, you just got a glimpse into Dubai's new normal. And this week, DBL is bringing you stories of the pandemic from around the world. Today, Marcelo takes us to a Brazilian city in the middle of the Amazon. Young adults like Marcelo are moving back home during these uncertain times. Here is his story and what's giving him hope.
So I'm Marcelo Corde, I'm from Brazil. I used to live in São Paulo, but since the beginning of this quarantine scenario here in Brazil, I moved back to my parents' home in Manaus, a city in the north of Brazil. Since the beginning of this pandemic scenario here in Brazil, every state choose their own way to fight against the spread of this virus. What we see here in Manaus, in other cities, is that there's a lot of people in quarantine. Okay, but if you go to poorest neighborhoods, you're gonna see a lot of people still working in Manaus. You need to use masks on the streets. It's not a law, you don't have fines, but some stores like drugstores or supermarket or grocery stores, they are not allowing people to get in without a mask. Carnival in Brazil is a really, really big thing. It's really fun. It's a lot of people. But if it is happening until next year, I'm worried about what we're gonna do because we love Carnival here in Brazil. And if we can't have the Carnival, it's gonna be really sad. I live with 5 people at my home. My 2 grandmothers, my mom, my dad, and my brother. And we are sharing the same house. It's great because I'm having some moments with my family that probably I would not have if this is not happening. I'm really worried about my grandmothers, really worried about them, because I know if they catch the virus, probably they will not make it. I think even in this bad scenario of this pandemic, what is giving me hope right now is to see how people are giving the right importance to scientists. So I saw in the past years, a lot of people questioning their importance, a lot of leaders cutting their investments on them, and now we need them. So this is giving me hope right now. I think this is really good for our species.
I love that. What an interesting perspective of his to say that now more than ever, what he's seen, that he loves that people are seeing the success of science.
Yeah.
Because there has been a lot of doubt with science.
And you get a bird's eye view, I love this segment, into what's going around the world, right? As a culture, we're not as close as Brazilian people, right? They're all together on top of each other. They're very kissy-feely, like with Carnival. So they're going through it differently than we are. It's good to see that.
I know.
Not
really,
good to see that, but good to see.
But no,
Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah.
A very cool story, though, Marcelo. Thank you. We'll be right back.
Promotional consideration is brought to you by...
Did you know?
Welcome back to DBL. Earlier, we told you how very few people will be traveling this year for Memorial Day. But if you are hitting the road, here are some tips in today's DBL Drive, sponsored by CarShield. First, remember to follow social distancing guidelines. Second, be sure to bring face masks, hand sanitizer, and sanitizing wipes. Third, wash your hands often, especially after going to gas stations, rest areas. And finally, do your research, because guess what? Many attractions are still closed, so don't drive all that way. Call ahead. When it comes to travel, for peace of mind, get an auto protection plan with CarShield. CarShield protects their members from the high cost of auto repairs. Call 1-800-505-9619 for a free quote. Wow.
I think those were pretty standard right now,
Not everybody
right?
practices it. No, not everyone practices that. I bet even in this day and age, you still don't see people.
Who's that bozo at home right now? And they're like, whoa, wash your hands and social distance?
Wow.
Good tip.
DBL's
Happy weekend.
new every day. Have a great holiday weekend. Thanks for joining Jeff and Lindsay as well. Bye, everybody.